Welcome to the Siege of Troy. What it actually is we are actually on the city of Brundisium, but we are doing something really cool today. We have a 3v2 with large armies. Out on the ocean, you could see we have three invading armies. We have Sparta, Colchis, and Carthage. And defending this settlement is going to be two Seleucid armies. The two defending armies are, let's see, it is Gormulnir and Dave the Vassal. Then on the attack, we have as Sparta, we have Crazy Town Crazy. As Colchis, you have myself. And finally, as Carthage, we have Zetsu. So what we were kind of going for in this battle, we had been kind of inspired by the release of Troy Total War, but also a lot of us were big fans of the movie Troy and the cool beach invasion thing going and defending outside the walls. So we tried to find a good settlement that would kind of fit that area, where you could defend outside the walls but have the archer support along the wall there. And Brundisium is one of the best places we could find that actually had. I think it's actually the only this and Thessaloniki. Really, the only two places that have this beach area here that you can come in, land, and approach the gate like this. So now, while the factions and some of the units may not be historically correct or anything, we were really just kind of going for the aesthetics of the battle from the movie in this one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unpause this because there's going to be a little bit of a setup phase. You can see the might of the Seleucids, or the Trojans they would be standing in for, is going to be mobilizing outside of the city here. Because of the way Rome 2 sets up their battles, unless you have guerrilla deployed troops, you can't really deploy outside the walls. So we unfortunately had to kind of set up inside and then move everything out to the walls. So what they're actually moving out first is a combination of Eastern Spearmen and Light Peltis. Because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up, the defenders are going to set up a defense here on the beachhead, really to kind of set up, a defense against the landing. So that'll be kind of fun. I mean, first off, I just want you guys to look at how many ships there are. So, like I said, we are doing large armies, so we have pretty much full armies from everybody here. So I believe that is 120 ships here. It's really crazy, especially when you get in, come in back here from the walls and doing a cinematic view, looking out on the ocean. That's just really, really cool seeing that. As you can see, like I said, they are moving forward, getting things set up. We kind of paused a little bit on we didn't move forward so they could kind of get something set up on that beachhead before we went in. We wanted to, once again have kind of that real cool beach landing with a defense against it. You can also see that as they're doing that, now they've got their, actual defensive troops coming in. Combination of things like Persian hoplites and mostly Persian hoplites, but scattered in are some slightly better units. Just because the hoplite units themselves don't do a lot of killing, we brought some slightly better units in just to do, because they are quite a bit outnumbered here. It's only 2 armies versus 3, so they are down by 40 units. So what they're going to do, they're kind of setting up here trying to get a good position here to defend, so they can have a good lane of fire for the archers on the walls. And as you can see, we are starting to move in. One of the downsides to these beach landings is that, sometimes not all of this beach is landable. Sometimes there are certain places where you can't put ships. So that means that you a lot of times get really relegated to very small pieces of land, kind of spread out where you can actually land your troops on. But as you can see, we are really trying to land as many as we possibly can at once. You know, Colchis, myself, I'm coming in on this middle beach here. Carthage is coming in on the right here closest to the corner wall, and then Sparta's coming all the way on this left side over here. You know, Sparta's probably got the largest personal amount of land of beach to land on. But just look how this is really forming up here, guys. You got the defense, the beach defense is set up. Then you can see how the the second defense is starting to set up here with the Persian hoplites, with the second layer coming in on here. Just really, this is a lot of fun to do. You might recognize some of this from a video that Pixelated Apollo did a couple, probably good 6 months ago. The one that I sent him was actually the earlier version of this battle that we did. When we sent that to him, we didn't think we had this. A lot of us had thought that we won the defender view of this battle, and we thought that both defenders had forgot to save the battle. And so when we sent this to him, we sent the older version, which was what we personally thought was not quite as good. We sent that to him, and then a couple months later, Dave here came to me, and he's like, dude, I realized that I've had the better version of this battle sitting in my replays this entire time. So, yeah, so we decided, well, let's go ahead and release this. You know, go ahead and release this because it's a lot of fun. It's slightly different than the one that Apollo got. So, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun. That one is, this was a very cool battle to do. I suggest if you guys ever want to try doing something like this, do it. Once again, this is the city of Brundisium. You can also do it on the city of Thessaloniki. But yeah, get your friends together and set up the battles. Once again, I don't think it has to be particularly historically accurate. I mean, you can't really in Rome 2, unfortunately. It just, a lot of the mods that are out there are not very balanced for it. And then the game itself just doesn't have quite the right troops for it. So, but as you can see, myself and Carthage here are landed. We have a bunch of ships here landed on the beach, starting to engage this defensive line. Carthage has Carthaginian hoplites, pretty much all the way down Carthaginian hoplites, going against these Eastern spears. Those Eastern spears are outclassed, but one thing to keep in mind is that most of these naval units only come with 120 men, while the actual land forces are 160. So it does create a little bit of a difference in the balance of the fact that they don't have as many men in them. I do have some archers here that are trying to get some support in over this way, but so does Seleucid. He's got some of his light peltis here shooting in on the hoplites. Sparta is he's unopposed. So Sparta's really just taking his time to land and form up his troops because he doesn't really have to fight too much. We are dealing with the beach lane, or the beach defense, so Sparta really could take his time. So as you can see, they've pretty much lost the beach landing. You know, it's pretty much expected to happen. But once again, it's just kind of a fun little idea of setting that up. It also gives the defenders some time to set up their defenses here. As you can see, we've got pretty much everything out here. The only thing they have behind the walls are these slingers that just can't fit on the walls yet. But really, the way we did it is there would be no defending in here. The entire battle would be done outside the walls here. Just a couple units here left. Got 2 units of Eastern Spears kind of holding things back. But as you can see, the rest of the beach landing is really just starting to finish, or not finish, but continue. You know, now that the beach defense is done, we got more and more ships starting to come in and starting to land unopposed now. We're trying to circle in just to kind of finish off these couple of units of Eastern Spears, get them dealt with so that we can just continue doing what we're doing. But man, guys, this is just going to be disgusting. If you just look at this this defensive line that they've got here, but then what they have on these walls, they pretty much brought all slingers because slingers have more ammo than archers do. So these slingers are just going to have a ridiculous line of fire right down these defensive lines here. I mean, let me see. I think one of them, this slinger here is already at 70 kills, and it's pretty much barely started in the battle, So they are going to, like, that slinger especially is going to have a just stupid good angle of fire there. You can see they also brought some of the, I think, what do they call it? Polybolos, which is pretty much just a little scorpion. Brought a couple of those around because they, once again, are also going to have a really good rate of fire. Gave them a lot of this stuff because, once again, they're outnumbered by an entire army. Which means they really are just outnumbered in, terms of pretty much everything except maybe the archers. We increased their range limit just for the fact that they would be outnumbered by that much. You can see Sparta is forming up quite a bit more. He's still got quite a bit still in the ocean, but I'd probably say at least half of his army is on the beach now. Carthage is starting to move in, but as you can see, we kind of have to wait for these ships to get out of the way. Otherwise, they get all tangled up, and it just becomes a nightmare trying to land them all. I've still got a bunch back here that I'm moving forward, but I'd probably say, for me, probably once again about half of my army. We pulled off a little bit because we were taking fire from like the towers and things, and we're still waiting for a lot of our armies to land, so we didn't feel like it was really worth taking that much damage while we couldn't even attack. But yeah, it was a lot of fun doing this. Like I said, I encourage you, if you haven't, or like if you want to, like, try this out. It is actually a lot of fun. Pick a couple people to do the defense, and then pick a bigger team to do the offense. It's a lot of fun. And once again, it doesn't have to be super accurate or anything. It's really more about just the fun of this kind of defense. You don't see this kind of stuff very often. The movie makes it look very, very cool. See, right up front here, we've got Silver Shield swords here, a very, very good heavy infantry unit. That's one of those units that is going to do a lot of the killing, while the other guys do a lot of the just really holding, not really meant to go anywhere. Persian Hoplites, got a Royal Peltis back here. Yeah, a combination of a little bit of everything, but it's probably 80% Persian, hoplite units. Seleucid, these Persian hoplites are pretty good. They're not anything crazy, but we didn't need them to be. It was kind of interesting going from the defensive perspective, which is in Pixelated Apollo's video. That's where I was. I was the defender against two attackers, and we were doing normal armies, not large armies at that point. So it was kind of interesting doing the perspective of the attacker now against the defenders, and then once again having it be on large armies, which was quite a bit to juggle. It's sometimes it's hard enough to run 20 units in an army. You put 40 units in that army, and man, it's a lot of management going on, moving stuff here and there. It really stretches your skills there on keeping things in order. And a little bit of a pause, once again, just for the fact that we are forming up a lot of our army. We could probably kind of fast forward a little bit in this as things continue to land. You should see we should start moving forward here in a sec. Got an Eastern Spearman coming up, being like, "We're not dead yet!" Hopefully everybody got the Monty Python quote there. Yeah, guys, like I said, this is just so many troops. You know, I don't even have a bunch of mine landed yet. I've got a ton of hoplites back here. Sparta is pretty much done unloading. Got a couple that are starting, like finishing their unload right now, but his infantry is pretty much all on the ground now. I've got most of mine, but I still do have a couple ships back here that need to land. All right, here we go. As you can see, we are starting to approach. What's going to end up happening? I'm going to take kind of the left side here, and Carthage is going to come in on the right, and Sparta is going to come back behind us and start plugging in where they need to. This Eastern Spear is really just kind of being a thorn in our side. They went into square formation, which means that it's just going to take a little bit for us to kind of just tear them apart, because otherwise they're just going to sit there, be annoying, you know. Like I said, I think probably the hardest part about this is the way that Rome 2 has their naval units set up. You know, most naval units are smaller than the land units. You can sometimes get the larger, like 160 guys, but they typically are much more expensive. But yeah, so with the naval units, you typically have much smaller guys with like the 120 rather than 160. So that means that even though they have a lot more, or like a lot less units than us, their actual man count is probably still lower, but not as bad as it sounds. Just for the fact that most of their units have 40 more men than we do. Although I think most of Sparta is 160. Yeah, I think, is it all of it? Yeah, all of Sparta's army is 160 men, so that should even it out a little bit. It does show that the attackers have the balance of power at this point. So I think that kind of proves that even though with the man count difference that there probably is still a large difference in how many men we have compared to them. So as you can see, we are starting to approach in. The Persian hoplites are defending against the Carthaginian hoplites over here, and then my Colchian hoplites on this side. Trying to plug in all the gaps. Got another Persian hoplite coming in here, but I have one of my men to go counter that. Now, this is where it just gets disgusting. You know, units like these guys right here are just in really, really rough, tough positions just because of the slinger fire that comes in. It might get a little laggy, guys. Don't be surprised. Once again, this is a lot of men on the battlefield right now. And not only is a lot of men in the battlefield, it's all of them in the same place. And so that tends to cause a little bit of lag. Looks like Carthage here is going to try and maybe slip in between. Or no, they're just defending it. Okay, he just turned his shields against the slingers here, which are already at 208 kills. Oh man, look at that! Tell me that's not the coolest thing. Spartans marching to war. Dude, that is so epic. That is awesome. Look at that. Yeah, like I said, this was so much fun to do. I was so excited doing this. Got the Persian hoplites. How are I wonder what, like... So the Silver Shield swords are the ones that are kind of at the tip of this formation. Right now, they're really only at 25 kills. I'm kind of... I think it might be just because they're on shield walls, so they're not really doing as much killing at the moment. But as you can see, the slingers on the walls are really just starting to unload here, especially these guys on the flanks, really hitting into the backs of the troops. Some of these guys, you know, on this wall here, don't have quite as good of an angle, so they may not be firing yet. But yeah, these guys up here, look at that. They just have a disgusting view of this battlefield. Could you imagine being standing up here and just looking out over this? Like, God almighty, what are you doing? What did we do? You know. If I remember correctly, the Trojans were strong followers of Apollo, so they probably would have been, you know, praying to him. Got our Libyan javelin men here trying to get support on kind of the back ranks. This front rank is actually starting to get pretty thin for Seleucid here. They are pretty drawn out, although some of them are kind of stacked together here, so it may not be as bad as it looks. Got, yeah, 2 Persian hoplites. The Silver Shields are really only at 48 kills. I'm kind of surprised by that. I figured they probably would have gone, be a little higher than that, but Persian hoplites, yeah, I mean, you can see a lot of them are getting down, you know, 118. I think there was one at like 102. 142, 131. So they are starting to take losses on that front line. Gosh, Sparta has so much here. And then you can see I've got kind of the last bits of what I had left moving in as well. And this tiny unit of gold tier hoplites, 29 men left. I also have some of my archers here. They're kind of sitting back. I should have been using them like back here on these peltis or stuff like that. Although it looks like I am shooting into this rank up here. This line is just so cool. I am really bulked up here. I probably shouldn't have sent half of this stuff in, you know. A lot of these guys really aren't doing anything. I probably could have pulled off a couple of these units. Although I guess in a way they are kind of protecting the back of my front line, or Sparta's front line at this point. So I guess that it could be one thing that they're kind of protecting their backs against like the slingers. I mean, you can see it, like a pretty good push is happening here. The shield bearers have actually taken the place, I think, of the place of the silver shields, didn't they? Or are the silver shields still in? Yeah, I feel like the silver shields left the combat. Yeah, they left the combat. They're back here now. 62 kills, but they still have a pretty solid amount of men left. Now the shield bearers are in combat. The shield bearers really are probably not going to go anywhere. They're very, very good hoplite units, so they are very good at staying there and not going anywhere. Still got the Libyan javelin men kind of throwing in stuff into the back ranks, and then my archers, I believe, are as well. Yep, they're shooting as well. We have more Spartan hoplites starting to move in. Really, the toughest places are here and here. Although this side seems to be doing much better. It doesn't look like they're taking quite as much fire over here. He might be holding a little bit of his ammo. But yeah, so this side does look much better. This side over here is just getting wrecked by these slingers up here. They are still shooting the running away hoplites, which is good. I mean, that's fine me, because I'd rather they shoot these guys than shoot these guys, you know. Now they are starting to shoot the Spartans here. The best places seem to be right here in this center area, just because they don't have as good of an angle to shoot them. I forgot to show, but Seleucid does have 2 units of the median cav back here that they have sitting here, so we'll see what they end up doing with them. We do have Sparta's Helot archers here, and then my last, you know, a couple units of hoplites and my gen are starting to move in as well. Sparta has such a huge force left. Like, they are by far our healthiest army, especially given the fact that they have 160 men in their units instead of the 140, or 120, sorry. As you can see, the front line's getting a little thin for Seleucid, so they are starting to move more of their reserve Persian hoplites up. They actually, I think they pulled out some. No, they left them in. Okay. Just a massive line here. Let's go ahead and go cinematic mode. You can really see the difference. Right down the middle there, you can see the actual color difference. So you have Seleucid here, and then you've got the Spartan and the Colchian hoplites on this side. On this side, yeah, you could still tell. Once again, it kind of goes right in here. You got Carthage right over this way, and then you have kind of this wavering line of Seleucid Persian hoplites. Whoops, wrong button. Go back to the unit cards. Yeah, Sparta has so much left. My archers are still laying into these back. They're starting to shoot into like the Peltis back here, trying to kind of back them off. I really only have like the Eastern archers, which are they're okay, but they're not great by any means. At least they have the 150 range, which is kind of really a. In this game, it is very hard to bring archers that don't have 150 range, just because they get outmatched by other archers. That range really allows them to have a quicker fire than a archer that has 125 range. And one of my things I always say with archers is that if you can get the first volley, you typically are going to immediately gain the advantage there. I wonder, is he pulling off or is he going to counter? It looks like Sparta moved up his archers here to kind of maybe get these slingers to push off. But he's going to bring his slingers up here, I think really just to, force Sparta to leave that area. That's a clean shot for those slingers, which means that they could easily just really lay into them. You can see there are certain parts of the line that are kind of getting a little thin. Right in here is getting a little thin. Right in here, you can see I've only got 77 and 76, men on these units right here, which is very, very small. So Sparta's probably going to need to move in and fill in some of these gaps because my hoplite line is starting to break. Guys at 84 that are starting to leave. It's just a combination of being shot by slingers, shot by these Libyan Peltis, all sorts of different things. Looks like they kind of went a little out of formation here. You should probably try and move these guys back into line. Carthage is getting really thin over here. Sparta is really going to need to basically... Sparta's really going to need to spread himself all along the line here because Carthage does not really have much else to commit. He's got this final line here, and just, once again, they're all like 102, I think one is 106, pretty small units. And I think he doesn't want to commit too much more over here just for the fact that the slingers that have been on these walls can just tear him to pieces on that flank. Just trying to get more and more archer fire down this center. The issue is we're, kind of firing straight into, shields. So it's really hard to get good angles on that kind of stuff. Carthage's Libyan javelins are doing as much as they can against the light Peltis. And I think that Sparta has been just trying to use his archers really just to try and push off these slingers as much as he possibly can. But every time he does, all they have to do is move a slinger to counter them, and they have to move out. Got two really weak Spartan hoplites. I wonder if they maybe just ran, they broke and came back. I'm not sure. As you can see, we have made some progress. The previous line was kind of right in here. We've really pushed them back probably a good 10, 15 paces, They're having to continue to push in more and more of their hoplite units to hold this line, because you can see this final back area is actually getting pretty thin. They don't have a whole lot left back here. A couple Persian hoplites, but really, I mean, if you look at the difference between this and this, it really, to me, looks like the attackers have far more than the defenders at this point. So I would say at this point, the defenders are looking pretty thin. And they might need to be a little worried here. I'm not sure at this point, just because they just don't look like they've got much left. They keep pulling in these light Peltis and moving them into this kind of this open area here, which I think is not a bad idea because they can get some pot shots on our back lines. It really doesn't look like our javelins and stuff are really doing anything. You know, got a javelin here with 87, that's pretty good, but 39, 51, 72 is not bad, 53, you know, there's a couple of the archers that are starting to get some kills, but really most of them are not doing too much. And then I didn't realize, but yeah, Carthage's Jin is actually one of the Libyan javelins. Once again, with the naval forces, you're a lot more limited on your unit options. It's one of the downsides to this game mode was that we really didn't have a whole lot to work with when it came to the navies. So it was really interesting trying to balance what the attackers could bring, or I mean what the defenders could bring that wouldn't completely annihilate the attackers. Just because the defenders can bring all sorts of really good infantry, while the attackers, a lot of their navies do not have the option of really, really good infantry. A lot of them are pretty limited on what they're allowed to bring as naval forces. I think what Carthage is trying to do, I think Carthage is trying to kind of move in on this flank here as much as he can. But I think he keeps getting tied in. Oh, man, that crossfire between the light peltis and the slingers up here. This slinger's at 144, and this one's at 58. So this one must be a new unit of slingers up here that's just gotten here. Carthage is... I guess we decided to pull off here. Wow! Look at this battle line, guys. Holy crap. Keep in mind, guys, it has been a good probably 8 months since I did this battle, so I don't really remember exactly what was going on some of this stuff, like what our reasoning was on some of it. But look at that battle line. That's just crazy. But like I said, you can see how we have pushed them back from, you know, in here, back a little bit further here, and started to condense a lot of their lines. I think what we might have been doing is pulling off, allowing them to reform. I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and fast forward and see what's going on here. It's been a little while, so I don't remember what our what our thought process was on this one. I think what we were trying to do was kind of do a little bit of a mock-up of the duels, you know, between like Achilles and Hector and Ajax, and Hector and oh gosh, Achilles and all that kind of stuff. And then we, as the attackers, really we just decided to go back into this one. And he realized, he's like, shit, run away! So he's trying to get the Silver Shield back. I don't think we wanted to sit there and do the little duel with my tiny little unit. So we decided just to go back into this combat. It did give them, once again, a chance to kind of reform their lines a little bit and remake their defense. You can see they really just kind of abandoned their original line of defense. I think really just because they were running out of the troops to hold it. By condensing their line, they are able to basically have a thicker unit line without spreading out as much. But I mean, look at this. You could just see the death and destruction that was wrought right into this area here. Just a disgusting amount of death. But I mean, look at what the slingers have done on this side. That is all attackers here. Oh man. Like I said, this battle was a ton of fun. I definitely suggest trying it yourself sometime. You don't have to do the same exact like armies or whatever. But doing this little defense thing it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot of fun. I think the first thing we realized in the earlier battles was that we definitely did not give enough archers to the defenders. Basically, the archers ran out of ammo so quickly that they really just were. There just wasn't enough. So we, ended up having to increase the archer limit for the defenders just so they had the ability to have more ammunition. It came down to the fact that in the earlier battles, the archers just didn't have enough ammunition to really make enough of an impact on the battle. Now, if you look, that cavalry has moved a little further in. Still hidden, still back here on this hill, but he has moved them around. Wonder, let's see. I mean, this is a pretty good target right here if he's going to go for anything. Honestly, there's a lot of exposed archers. My archers, I think, are out of ammo, so they're already in combat. I wouldn't be surprised if Carthage's archers are getting low on ammo now. I guarantee all of these are pretty much out. Yeah, I mean, a ton of kills for all of these slingers back here, so they're probably out of ammo. The Peltis they probably are close to being out of ammo. Then these guys still have a pretty good amount. They probably still have at least a quarter, I would say. 180, I bet this guy's almost out right here. And then this guy, 311 kills, I bet he's out of ammo. So they actually have a lot of troops that are really just these slingers back here. But almost everything they have is now committed to this front area. They do have some of their more elite troops, the Royal Peltis, the another Royal Peltis. I think they had... I wonder if that shield bearer is dead. That shield bearer might have died. Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah, I think it died. Oh, and now we can see the cavalry on the back end. So Sparta has some a couple units back here that he's going to kind of set up, try and defend our back flank as much as he can. Just because we know that cav can come in and really kind of hurt our back area here. These archers, the javelins, things like that. But yeah, we are almost completely committed now. Most of our infantry is now in combat, and honestly, most of theirs is as well. So you can see it's going to be a pretty close fight here, just because everything we have, everything they have is pretty much in combat. They have a very small line here that's not, but it's not much. I think really if anything is going to be the difference, it's going to be these archers or slingers. I always do that. I always say archers without looking to see exactly what it is. Are you kidding me? That 300... This guy had 316, but it looks like just ran out of ammo. That's... Now, because of the amount of, men on the battlefield... 300 probably isn't really as much as it sounds, just because there's so many attacking units. But it still is a very, very good amount of kills for a slinger unit. They've got this beautiful angle to shoot right into that back line, especially now that line is moved forward a little bit. Their backs are completely exposed. Honestly, same thing over here, but I don't think they have any ammo left on this side. So honestly, it looks like the defenders are really, really low on ammo, if not completely out. I think this guy here might be the only one they have left with ammo. Does he have ammo? I can't tell. Yeah, it looks like he's got ammo. 369 kills still. Jeez. Really, what all that's left is basically just Sparta. Carthage is very, very low. I've got some left, but it's really not much. What I've got left is very, very small units. My gen at 120, I've got him there really just as an inspiration. You know, he as being the Jin, he gives inspiration to the units around him. So he's really just there to hold this, keep this front line, this middle area here in combat. Sparta has three. This is kind of the downside of that cav, is it's really making us keep multiple units of infantry stuck in one place because they have to deal with, like, you know, protect against the cavalry. Carthage's Jin is broken and fleeing. Is he dead? Let's see. I don't think he's even dead, no. The cav looks like is going to come in and get to deal with this small unit of, it looks like a unit that I had that broke and came back. Oh, this right side is not looking good. Yep, Carthage is starting to try and fill in this patch as much as he can because this right area was completely open. He's got his Jin and another unit holding this right line as much as he, you know. Otherwise, this entire area here can push forward and envelop if they wanted to. Carthage's line here is looking okay. Got another Spartan Hoplite here that could probably, honestly, if anything, this Spartan Hoplite probably could be distributed somewhere else. Maybe like right in here would be better. This side is looking really good. That side looks fine, but this right side is not looking good at all. Now here comes the cav, going to charge into these Spartan Hoplites. Oh, man. Really nice charge there. Maybe not a lot of kills, but he did blast that unit onto their butts. Oh, and Carthage's Jin and other javelin men came back. So poor Sparta's got these two units just trying to do everything they can to, you know, interpret which way this that cav's gonna go. I think what I did is I pulled my hoplites out of this left side because Sparta's over here, and I'm gonna move them over here to try and hold this side. Basically, just moving so Sparta's on the left and I'm on the right because we have the two most units left, even though I really don't have much at all. So yeah, you can see I've got these smaller units here that I pulled off the left are going to move over to this right side and try and hold that right flank as long as they possibly can. Because what we want to happen now, we want the right, we just need it to kind of hold here. And then the left, we need it to push in on this left side and really win on the left so that we can kind of do the opposite. Hold here and have these guys envelop. What they're going to try and do is they're going to try and hold on the right as long as possible while they use what they can to defeat the left. Not sure why we're pulling off at this point. I don't... Maybe they're going to condense their line again. Once again, we were just having some fun here. Looking at this now, I'm like, what are you doing? It's a long time ago. I'm sure we had reasonings as to why we were doing this, but I think it was once again to do one of the duels. Let's go and fast forward. Yeah, but I think the issue here is that we don't have anything that can go against this. Yeah, like this, the gold tier Spartan Hoplite is at 111, and this Royal Pelt is at 149. Yeah, there's no way. Yeah, I kind of wish we hadn't have done this. Once again, we were kind of goofing around, having some fun with it, but it was kind of pointless. I think we had a really good push going, and I think we just lost any, like, advantage we had on that push. Just for the fact that we pulled our entire force off, that really allowed them to reform a lot of their lines and beef up places that were getting weak. we're going back into the combat here. Once again, I think Sparta's going to go on the left, and myself and what's left of Carthage are going to try and hold the right. The defenders have brought a lot of their like depleted units back in, and then all their slingers are now back as well. So even though those slingers are out of ammo, they can come in and they can beef up the line. Sparta does have a really healthy army left. But you can see we have taken a lot of losses. That balance of power was very heavily in our favor, and it's now pretty much even at this point. But as you can see, pretty much everything they have is now here. Is this guy? So this guy probably has some. Well, 71 kills. He may. Yeah, I think he might be out of ammo. Not sure why he's on the wall, but. Alright, so we're re-engaged on the right. You can see pretty much everything I've got is in combat here just to hold on to this left while Sparta pushes with all they have on the left, or me on the right, them on the left, whatever you want to call it. A lot of these Persian light archers and slingers and things like that sitting right behind the line just to move in to gaps and fill in spots if they can. I tried to sneak in a unit along the edge of this Persian hoplite, but they ended up seeing that, so they sent a slinger over to counter it. My gen is still alive. He's still beefing up this area here, and Sparta still has quite a bit of ammo and is shooting into these back ranks, but we got to be very careful of the cav. So Sparta's got a couple of his more depleted units that are going to try and help kind of form a little bit of a back line. I think one of the mistakes we made is a lot of this blobbing here. I just think it was kind of pointless use of units. Probably could have done a little better on that. Once again, this was a long time ago, so I don't, it's hard to say what our thought process was on some of it. But yeah, there's a couple things I really would have done differently. Our right line here is really not looking good. One of these Spartan hoplites very easily could come over here and beef up this line. Yeah, a lot of things I would do differently on this, but once again, still a lot of fun on this. Big push coming from the defenders. A lot of these units in the background starting to push in, starting to make a big push on these front lines. I think Sparta probably moved a little too much away. I think these units are much better used in the combat rather than trying to watch these two units of cavalry. Just kind of zone them out if you can. These archers are doing a pretty good job. 188 on one, and most of the others are over 100. One of them's at 185, so doing well there. That front line is just, holding on for dear life. They are doing everything they can to stop this push. Once again, I really think that had we not done that little pull off there, I really think that that this would be a lot closer to breaking at this point, because we had a very, very good push going there. Kind of wish we hadn't done that, but as something that's already happened, I can't really do much about it now, you know what I mean? I put my gen a little bit closer here. He's going to probably end up having to go into combat to hold this right side, and there's a Spartan unit that's going to come in on the edge here. Cavs coming back towards, just really circling, trying to keep Sparta on his toes pretty much, just, every time this cav does something, Sparta pretty much has to react to it, which means Sparta's going to have to continue microwing in other places. He can't watch everything at once. As you can see, just still a really good push here. His far left side looks a little weak, but he does have a really good push coming in on this center area. If I was him, I'd be using these archers and really focusing this very left side, the side that he's having a lot of issues on. I'd really be focusing this right here. And I think he's trying to, but with how the like the targeting with the archers works. I think they're kind of targeting everything in this area. I bet the unit they are targeting is probably spread out here, which means they're not really shooting here where you want them. They're shooting kind of over here where the actual unit is. My side looks like it's solidified a little bit here. I've got a couple units here, and so does Sparta. So looks like I might have, kind of shorn up this line to help hold while he continues to push on his side. Because remember, in the end, his side is going to be, oh no. So that side that I was just telling you that I shored up, I think is really about to hurt. My side over here is just about, oh, this is going to hurt. Really, really good target here by the cavalry. This is the side that looks the worst, that is the weakest, that we just needed to hold. So the cav coming in on that side is really, really bad for us because that's going to cause breakage. And if this line on the right breaks, then we've got a lot of problems. Once again, that's what cav does. It causes you to have to move around and worry about where it is, how to counter it, things like that. And as you can see, the defenders are trying to pull off. We're going to try and keep engaged with them, I believe. Yeah, you can see we're trying to charge in. They're basically, once again, they're pulling back their line to condense it so that they don't have to continue holding a big, long area. Now that they've lost more troops, they can shorten down and make their line a lot smaller so they are just beefier, And this cav is really just still causing issues. They're racking up kills, 147 and 145 on that guy. Just tearing through the Helot archers, which are probably close to out of ammo. But it's still, deaths are deaths. That contributes to things like army losses. Oh, man. Yeah, you can see that now. Honestly, I think you can see they've got the upper hand now. You can see the balance of power is shifted way in their favor. This cavalry is still racking up kills, and you can see the breakage happening here. And there it is. There's the army losses, and I think we can just comfortably say that is that. There's a couple units to finish off, but that is going to be the end of this battle, guys. So this is the battlefield. Look at this. Just the carnage that has been dealt on this field has just been disgusting. Once again, this was a ton of fun to play, a ton of fun to do. I definitely encourage you guys, if you want to make your own version of it, bring your own factions, make your own rules with it, but have some fun. It's a very fun scenario to go with. So the defenders, Dave the Vassal had 4,482 kills. I believe he had a slinger that got a ton of kills here. Maybe Gorm is the one who had the. So Dave had a slinger with 351 kills. He also had a Persian hoplite with 307. His cav did 231 and 191. Overall, his archers did his infantry did pretty solid. 124, 307 on the Royal Peltist. Gorm 196 on his shield bearer Jin. His silver shields did 297. And a lot of his hoplites did right around 100, 130 kills here. Crazy Town, his archers did very well. 263, 169, 151. Infantry all did, a lot of it did solid, 112, 124. Myself, my archers didn't do so great, 94 on this guy, but they aren't very good archers either. Infantry did okay. And Zetsu, Javelin, 92 on this guy, 92 on this guy. And then all his infantry did okay. It's a very, very tough thing to attack a Persian hoplite line like that. But I do hope that you guys really enjoyed this battle. Like I said, it was a ton of fun to play. But if you guys liked the battle, hit that like button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And we will see you next time.